Now, this has to do with foreign policy, and this is Donald Trump basically getting ready to admit that he's willing to participate in violations of the Geneva Conference and war crimes, which obviously he would be the first president in history that once he left U.S. soil would be subject to arrest and conviction for war crimes. But here we go.
Mr. Trump, just yesterday, almost 100 foreign policy experts signed on to an open letter refusing to support you, saying you're embracing expansive use of torture is inexcusable. General Michael Hayden, former CIA director, NSA director, and other experts have said that when you ask the U.S. military to carry out some of your campaign promises, specifically targeting terrorist families and also the use of interrogation methods more extreme than waterboarding, the military will refuse because they've been trained to turn down and refuse illegal orders. So what would you do as Commander-in-Chief if the U.S. military refused to carry out those orders?
They won't refuse. They're not going to refuse me, believe me.
But they're
Let me
illegal.
just tell you, you look at the Middle East, they're chopping off heads. They're chopping off the heads of Christians and anybody else that happens to be in the way. They're drowning people in steel cages. And now we're talking about waterboarding. This really started with Ted. A question was asked of Ted last 2 debates ago about waterboarding. And Ted was, having a hard time with that question, to be totally honest with you. They then came to me, what do you think of waterboarding? I said, it's fine. And if we want to go stronger, I'd go stronger too. Because frankly, that's the way I feel. Can you imagine these people, these animals over in the Middle East that chop off heads, sitting around talking and seeing that we're having a hard problem with waterboarding? We should go for waterboarding, and we should go tougher than waterboarding.
But targeting terrorist families?
And I'm a leader. I've always been a leader. I've never had any problem leading people. If I say do it, they're going to do it. That's what leadership is all about.
Even targeting...
That's bullshit. Because if a leader tells you to commit an illegal act and an immoral act, you're not going to do it just because that leader tells you to do it. That's what morality is called. Oh, and by the way, when he said people being drowned in steel cages, I think he actually meant people being burned alive in steel cages. But let's continue.
Terrorist families.
Well, look, when a family flies into the World Trade Center, a man flies into the World Trade Center, and his family gets sent back to where they were going, and I think most of you know where they went, and by the way, it wasn't Iraq, but they went back to a certain territory. They knew what was happening. The wife knew exactly what was happening. They left 2 days earlier with respect to the World Trade Center, and they went back to where they went, and they watched their husband on television flying into the World Trade Center, flying into the Pentagon, and probably trying to fly into the White House, except we had some very, very brave souls on that third plane. All right?
Senator Cruz, I
have no problem.
See, but again, he's advocating killing women and children of terrorists, even though they haven't committed any acts. That is a direct violation of not only the Geneva Conference, but that's just a violation of just simple humanity. So he is basically opening himself up to being arrested for war crimes. Trump is a fucking idiot.